So this video is going to be all about my saline infusions for my POTS, or postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So I've gotten a lot of questions about why I get these saline infusions and how I get them, and many other questions. So I decided I would do a video just about my saline infusions. So first off, why do I get them? I get them for POTS, as I mentioned before. POTS is a condition of the autonomic nervous system, which causes dizziness, lightheadedness, fainting, low blood pressure, fatigue, brain fog, the list goes on and on. That is the main reason why I get these infusions, but the other reason that I get them is for my gastroparesis. So I have severe gastroparesis, which is delayed stomach emptying. I just have a very difficult time hydrating myself because my stomach cannot handle the amount of fluid that it takes to sustain me and keep me feeling well enough because of my POTS. So with POTS, you need lots of extra fluid. So your doctors will tell you eat more salt, drink more fluid. I can't even get the amount of fluid that a regular person needs to function. So I'm definitely not able to get the amount that I should for my POTS. So yeah, I get them for two different reasons, but I'm going to be focusing on the POTS aspect of it rather than the gastroparesis part. That'll maybe be a different video. So are they helpful? For me, they're extremely helpful. They improve my dizziness, I have more energy and less fatigue, my blood pressure is normal. Before I get an infusion, however, my blood pressure will be extremely low. Like a few days ago, it was 85/56 and my heart rate was 140. But after I receive an infusion, my blood pressure will be good. It also helps with my headaches, which are mainly caused by dehydration. And I'm actually able to go out in the heat for a little bit, which is extremely helpful in the summertime, because without these, I basically am stuck inside the entire summer, which is not fun. Like, that's much prefer being able to go outside for short periods of time. I'm still not able to spend the whole day outside, but I am able to spend smaller periods of time in the heat, which is incredibly nice. How often do I get them? So I get them twice a week. Currently, I get them on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but the schedule kind of just keeps changing. It used to be Tuesday and Friday, and before it was Monday and Thursday, so it's like, it keeps changing, but I get them twice a week. I bring it up to my doctors, or did they bring it up to me? I actually brought it up to my doctors. I know lots of people over mainly social media that I've met that have the same condition as me, and I kept hearing how saline made everyone feel so great, and it was like liquid gold. And so I brought it up to one of my doctors who was kind of treating me for my POTS at that time, and he was kind of hesitant, but he said, okay, we'll give it a try. And so right then and there, we hooked up a bag of saline. They placed an IV and we tried it, and it ended up being super amazing. Like, I left there and we went out to dinner. This was pre-gastroparesis days. Oh, the good days. Anyways, we went out to dinner after that, and I stood up after dinner and I was like, I feel so much better. Like, I couldn't stop smiling. So that's when we knew that, like, this is something that we kind of wanted to pursue. Ever since then, I kind of kept bringing it up to my doctors. I never actually had a doctor mention it to me. I was always the one to mention it to them. So what was the process like for getting IV fluids regularly? Well, as I said before, I got my first bag of saline, and then about a month, maybe 2 months later, we went back to see him for our follow-up appointment, and At this point, we'd already talked about it with him at my last appointment, but this was the appointment that we were going to go and like officially make a plan. We brought it back up again, and he had completely changed his mind. He was no longer in favor of saline infusions. He was against it. So at that point, I was very discouraged, because I just found this thing that like actually made me feel better. Like, I've tried so many medications, and this was the most helpful. And so I was quite disappointed. So I brought it up to a few more doctors, each one of them saying, "That sounds like a great idea, but I can't help you with that." Or, "Yeah, that's amazing, but you should find a different doctor to do it." And so after months and months and months, we eventually found a doctor who has other patients on this treatment of saline, and she was more than willing to set it up for me. So once we had a plan and it was approved, we had a doctor, and it was official, then we just had to figure out whether we wanted to do it at an infusion center or at home. We chose at home just for convenience, because I have to get them twice a week, and my infusions run over 4 hours. That would be a lot of time to spend at an infusion center or at the hospital every week. That'd be like at least 8 hours a week, plus the time of like placing the IV and getting checked in and everything. So for us, it worked out better to do it at home. It took a while to like actually get that worked out because of like home healthcare nurses and home healthcare companies. Because I'm only 16, we had to find an at-home healthcare company that worked with pediatric patients. So it took like a month, I want to say, to actually get that moving. Until that all got worked out, I got them at the hospital. So I would go up there, I don't know, I think it was only like occasionally. I think it was only like when I really needed it, so maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, while we were getting that sorted out. Then once home healthcare was all set up, we got all the supplies delivered, and at this point I did not have the pump. It was just gravity. They were gravity bags, which those were really finicky. Like, sometimes they would go in like 4 hours. I had times where it took like 8.5 hours to get a bag to empty because we couldn't get the pole high enough, and I don't know. So those were pretty finicky, but I did those for about a month and a half maybe. And at that point I was getting peripheral IVs, which I'll put a picture in here if you don't know what the difference between like a peripheral IV and a central line is. Here's a picture of a peripheral IV. So my home healthcare company would come out, place an IV, and then I would keep that. I would use it for my first infusion, and then I would keep it until my next infusion of the week, and then we would take it out ourselves. So that was what we did for probably a month and a half until my veins were just shot. So I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which for me makes my veins completely terrible. So placing an IV was already very difficult. But once we use the same veins over and over and over again, and once you start poking and you don't get the IV access, that just damages the veins. So I was being poked 7+ times, and we just couldn't get an IV, but we really wanted to continue the infusions because they were so helpful. So we talked to my doctor, and we decided that the best option for me at that time was to place a PICC line. I made a different video of my experience getting a PICC line, so if you're curious a little bit more about that, you can go check out one of my other videos. I got the PICC line placed, and then now that I had the central line, I'm not sure why I had to wait until I had the PICC line, but once I had my PICC line, then we got this portable pump. It's an ambulatory pump, so it does not have to be attached to the IV pole like a regular pump does. Currently, I put it on the pole today. But typically when I have it, it's in a backpack. So these are like sealed bags so that there's no air in them, so that they can just be put in a backpack and I can go anywhere. I don't have to be tied to an IV pole. Today it worked out best to just put it on the pole, which I can do if I want to, I just typically don't. But now that I have my PICC line, it makes getting the infusions super easy. We're able to set them up at home by ourselves. I actually set this up completely by myself. So obviously I have to take care of my PICC line every day. I have to flush it when I wake up and before I go to bed, and I have to have dressing changes and labs once a week. But overall, it made it much easier to get the infusions. I just wanted to answer a few of the questions that I've been getting and just kind of explain the process of how I came to be getting IV fluids and just a little bit about them. So I hope you enjoyed my video all about my saline infusions. If I missed anything or you have more questions, feel free to comment them down below and I will do my best to answer them all. And if you have any other video suggestions for me, I would love your suggestions, so feel free to comment those as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Can you see this? Nope. I'm totally trying to show the back of my shirt and you can't even see it. Whoa, the lighting just completely changed. Wait, what happened? At least, so there's, this video is not going well. All, until the list goes on. Oh no. Like, I'm like stumbling all the time.